I just wanted to quickly show you what you need to do technically to retouch these images. So looking at them briefly, you can see that the colors are off, especially with this image. There's an oversaturation of your yellows, perhaps even reds, meaning there's just not enough blue in that image. But to an untrained eye, I guess sometimes it's a little bit hard to see what's going on. With Photoshop, there's many ways of achieving the same result. So I'll show you one or two of those ways. Let's have a look at the brief. So these are previews, small images. These are the actual files which we will download and save. So your task is to adjust the lighting and balance across all of the photos. You've also been asked to remove some of the wrinkles that are seen on the actors' faces, and the pictures need to have the original layer and then a duplicate of the adjustments you've made, and that needs to be saved as a Photoshop document. To have the original layer is so that if the client's not happy with what you've done, it's always good to maintain the original image. Task 2 is basically to write down in a brief report what it is you've done with each image. So you can put the title of the image, like Blonde Woman Headshot, and then you're going to write, okay, in Photoshop I adjusted the whites in the image and that was enough to correct the colors, and then I removed some fine spots off the face. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the Blonde Woman Headshot. So what we need to do is just click on this link and right click your image to save it. I've got that saved already, so just hit save, and there it is. So that image is downloaded nice and large. Go to Photoshop, File, Open, navigate to my desktop, the picture, and click Open. There she is. Just close the Properties panel. Make sure from your tools you've just got your Selection tool on, and the first thing we need to do is duplicate this layer. So we need to do that by right-clicking it and choosing Duplicate Layer. If you can't right-click on your mouse, you can always go to this menu here and Duplicate Layer. You just need to make sure that you've got that layer selected. So click it first, Duplicate Layer. Background copy will suffice, and it is now an unlocked layer, meaning we can modify it in many ways. So as I mentioned, to an untrained eye it may be a bit hard to tell what adjustments to make. Again, with this image I'm not seeing enough blues here. I think the background probably looks better in grey. You just need to be able to see a bit of each colour in an image. There should be blues, there should be your yellows, and there should be your reds. So if you go to Image and Auto Color, you will see that that looks a lot healthier. So some of that brown has been, oversaturation of that brown and yellow has been removed. Her eyes are still a very lovely bluey color. Her skin looks nice and natural, and her shirt is red, so it's looking quite good. How could you achieve that without the auto color? So to get a bit more technical, I suppose, I'll just undo that. Okay, so we've replicated that. Here you've got adjustment panels, and you can use all of these or some of them. My favorite one is curves because it pretty much has everything in there. And you've got these eyedropper tools, and what most professionals do is they use white balance in an image. So with an image like this, if I choose sample the image to set the grey point, I'm going to assume that this color should be grey. So if I click that, you'll see that in one click it color corrected my image. So there's a nice balance of your blues, reds, and yellows in the middle. So that is really sufficient in terms of color correction, and it's a matter of clicking on different things until you're happy with the end result. For this image, that will suffice. If you feel it's a little bit desaturated, so needs more color, there's a panel here called Hue and Saturation. And you don't need to touch the other colors, but you can bump up the saturation just a touch. Don't exaggerate, because the final image does need to still look natural. So now I have 2 additional layers. That's not making much difference, and that makes a huge difference. So by turning the eyes off and on, you can see that was the original image, and that's it with the filters applied. The other requirement of the client was, if I hit Command plus, allows me to zoom in I'll hold the space bar to move around the image, or so to remove fine wrinkles and spots and things. You probably don't want to remove beauty spots because the image needs to maintain its integrity and look natural. So that's really up to your judgment, what you want to remove and what not. But here you have a healing brush tool, and with any tool that you choose here, you will see your brush size. So that's your size. You can reduce that for finer spots, which I think that's okay. And with the hardness, you always want to have it at 0 so that the edges are nice and soft, that it doesn't look like a solid circle on her face. So I'll just fold that away and let's click on there. So we need to be on the spot healing brush. So size a little bit smaller, nice and soft, and hit enter. Alright. Let's make sure we are on the right layer. We need to be on the image layer to make this adjustment, and as I click that, you will see that that spot's been removed. So what it does, it detects the colors around that spot. I can make the brush a little bit bigger, and matches it so you can easily remove the blemishes. And that's all you really need to do. So where you think it's could do without, that's where you can remove it. And for that image, she's gorgeous, the colors are correct, there's not much else I would tamper with. I do want the image to look natural, so Command 0 to zoom out, and that image is ready. So File, Save As. We want to save it as a PSD, which has been requested of us, and hit Save, and OK. And it's that simple. So I'm going to adjust one more image, and you can try this out yourself. So the next woman is the brunette, so I'm going to click it. She's quite lovely. It probably could do with a little bit more warmth, that image, so right click to save your image. We're going to save it in the same folder. And let's have a look. So this one I can close, I've saved it, I don't need it. File, open up that file. Lovely. Okay, so again, if you want to just test it out, you can go in auto color. Well, that doesn't look very good. She looks completely washed out. So let's duplicate that background layer first. Duplicate. That's okay. And let's go to our lovely curves. Open that up. So here we've got your eyedropper, the grey one that we tested out. Let's see if that wall looks better in a grey tone. She is looking a lot warmer. I would go and detect the white colors in this image to balance that a bit better. I feel that there's probably a bit of an oversaturation, but she's looking much better already, a lot more natural. So to detect the whitest white, which will help you balance out these colors, you need to go to where light reflects, and I can tell you that that would be somewhere on her lip. So if I go really in here, I'm going to click on the white eyedropper tool, make sure I'm on the right layer. So have my curves switched on, and Command 0 to zoom out. So she's looking much healthier now. That's how we started, that's how she's looking. And you can look at the saturation. I mean, if you want to bump up the saturation, so I'll leave that up to you to decide what you think. But once again, you can see in the curves balance, you've got a nice balance of yellow in the middle, you've got plenty of red, you've got plenty of blue. So that image is now color corrected. And once again, if you want to remove any fine wrinkles or anything, you can always zoom in. Let's go to our spot healing brush. It's already set to an accurate size. You might want to make the brush a tad bigger. And make sure we're on the image layer. And click away. So I think the brush needs to be still a bit bigger. And there we go. So it is matching the skin tones to remove blemishes, just to freshen up her face a little bit. We have content aware as an option here, meaning it detects the contents around where you're clicking right now, to match it. So you can also remove wrinkles and soften them up. Just don't go overboard, keep it nice and natural, and that's it. So she's looking good. I'm going to go File, Save As, save that as a PSD. If at any point you feel an image looks oversaturated, that's your saturation. So if you hover over these, you can see what they actually are. So it's a matter of experimenting, really. So I've got a hue and saturation that I've applied here already. So if you ever feel that an image is too saturated, you can always drag that dial. For the portraits, please don't tamper with hue or lightness. You need to do that in the curves to balance out colors, and that'll automatically adjust the light and dark in your images. And that's all you really need to do. Don't forget the second part, where you just need to produce a Word document and outline exactly what you've done. So for an image like this, we duplicated the background layer, we added the curves, we detected the grey in the image, and then the white in the image by clicking on her lip, and just clicked on the saturation to add a little bit more saturation and saved it as a PSD file. So that's what you would write for that image in the report. I hope this helps. Enjoy.